Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of the BioSlife franchise product training call. My name is Dr. Peter Verdegam, and I am the Chief Science Officer of Unicity International. This week's episode is about Enzygen Plus. And Enzygen Plus is a very popular product in our product line. It is sold in a number of countries around the world, and it's a consistent good seller. And that gives us a good signal. That signal is people really know what it's for, use it consistently, and experience the benefits. And that's just very rewarding when you've developed a product like that. Enzygen is an enzyme product, hence the name Enzygen. It's the second version of the product because we used to have a product called Enzygen, and now we have the Enzygen Plus, which is an improved version of the older formula. Enzymes play a very important role in our body, in our biochemistry. There are enzymes for almost all biochemical reactions, be it energy production, be it all kinds of antioxidant systems, but also digestive systems. Enzymes, particular types of enzymes, function as digestive proteins, enzymes in our digestive system, making sure that the food that we eat can actually be broken down in smaller units so that they can be absorbed into our bloodstream. When we eat food, the typical macronutrients, and that means the large nutrients as opposed to vitamins and minerals, and those macronutrients are, for example, carbohydrates, fats, proteins. They need to be broken down. These are large molecules, large in size, and typically the channels that we have in our digestive tissue, in our tissue in the inside of our small and big intestine, have very small openings, are very small channel systems. So large molecules are simply unable to pass. And that's why those macronutrients have to be broken down into their single units. For carbohydrates, these single units are sugar molecules. For fats, these are fatty acids. And proteins are broken down in amino acids. And each of these breakdown steps have their own collection of enzymes to do this. But also, there's not just one enzyme that can break down all kinds of carbohydrates. No, every type of carbohydrate, like, for example, starch or dextrin, has their own enzyme to break it down into smaller units. So there's an enormous number of different enzymes present in our digestive tract. Enzymes have been present in our digestive tract since we were born, but it's only the last 100 years that we know enzymes to be of therapeutic value, because before that we really didn't know that enzymes, we know that they played an important role, but we did not know that we could actually use them in a therapeutic way. We've always eaten enzymes. I mean, enzymes are part of our intestinal tract. We make them ourselves. We have mechanisms available that synthesize, that produce enzymes that we need to digest our food. But the food itself also contains digestive enzymes, particularly raw foods. Raw vegetables, fruits, milk, things like that contain enzymes that can actually digest the food itself. So food is pretty smart. Food contains their own selection of enzymes to break down itself. And we can observe that if we let food stand alone and do nothing with it. It's going to decay. And that is basically a digestive process. The enzymes present in the food itself is part of the reason why food decays. And that's not nice for most of foods, but we also have been using that process quite a bit in food production. When we ferment foods, for example, you can make tofu or cheese or yogurt or even alcoholic beverages are basically pre-digested in somehow, you can say, pre-digested food using the enzymes present in the food itself. So normally, and particularly in earlier days, we were eating food along with the enzymes present in the food, and those enzymes together with our own digestive enzymes produced in our gut, we would be able to digest the food very efficiently. Today, however, the situation is a little bit different. First of all, our food is very different. Our food is processed, prepared using high temperatures, pasteurized, sterilized, and these procedures to food is really very destructive for the enzymes in it. So a lot of our food today is very low or even completely empty of functional enzymes. And that has had a considerable effect on our digestive system, because whereas it was normal that the food digestive enzymes and our own digestive enzymes would work together, now for a lot of foods, our own digestive system has to do all the job, all the work, because that's the only source of digestive enzymes. We don't take a lot of time for eating. We eat usually larger portions and just 2 or 3 or 4 times per day. And that is not the best way for our digestive system to process the food. Typically, our digestive system likes to have small bits of food spread out over the day. And in that way, the limited amount of enzymes we have can actually, do their job and break down the macronutrients. However, if we do it, fast and in bigger chunks, our digestive system has difficulty in efficiently digesting all the macronutrients and get everything out of the food that we want it to do. Also, stress is known to release certain hormones that inhibit further the digestive enzyme release in our digestive tract. So, we have a considerable problem with our digestion today because of our food processing and because of our lifestyle, and that can result in not so serious until very serious type of diseases. The not so serious forms, but certainly a burden, you can have is digestive discomfort, bloating, a lot of gas, constipation. Food that is not fully digested can actually form constipation, and that is very unpleasant in your digestive tract. And it also has shown that it results in suboptimal nutrient uptake. We are simply not getting out of the food. If we eat healthy food, we're not getting all the vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients out of them simply because we do not fully digest them. Now, there are some more problems with our digestive system. First, for example, our aging process. We know that as we get older, the pancreas, which is an important organ when it comes to the production of enzymes, is going to reduce its enzyme output. It's going to produce less and less of the digestive enzymes. And for older people, this is quite well known, that they don't have adequate protein and fat absorption. And protein in particular results in loss of lean muscle mass and can result in muscle weakness. And we know that. I mean, as we get older, our muscles tend to be reduced in size and strength. And this is simply because we first of all don't eat a lot of protein anymore, but also because the protein that we eat is not fully digested because of the lack of enzyme production. And this can, of course, also result in discomfort in older people, abdominal discomfort, flatulence, constipation, reflux disorders, or ulcers even, or diarrhea, are being described as symptoms of a reduced pancreas enzyme output when we age. There's a third category of problems in the digestive tract, and that is basically what I call the genetic enzyme shortages. Enzymes are proteins. Enzyme is a specific kind of proteins, and proteins are made by reading off our DNA genetic information. That's basically how proteins are made. And if we have a genetic difference and genetic shortcoming, we may have a situation where we don't produce a particular enzyme. And one very well-known example of that is the enzyme lactase. Lactase is an enzyme that is produced in people without the problem to digest lactose, which is milk sugar. And you are probably familiar with the term lactose intolerance, which means that the people that have a genetic change that results in the lack of the enzyme lactase are going to not be able to digest lactose. And lactose is a very common sugar from our diet. What happens then? Well, those people have no system to digest lactose, so lactose is going to stay in the digestive tract. It's not going to be absorbed, and that undigested lactose is then going to be fermented by the bacteria in the gut flora, and that is going to produce, awkward side effects like belching, cramping, even diarrhea and flatulence are normal problems with people that have lactose intolerance and simply are left with lactose in their digestive tract. So those are basically the three categories of problems that can happen with our digestive tract. And that's why at Unicity we have a product called Enzygen. Enzygen is basically, it's very simple to explain, it's a synergistic mix of all kinds of enzymes. And as I said, enzymes are for every specific carbohydrate, every specific fat, every specific protein, you have one specific enzyme. So that's why you need a collection of a lot of different enzymes to basically cover the whole array of macronutrients in our foods. Because it's proteins, they all have their own specific temperature and pH value that they need to function optimally. And the temperature, of course, is everywhere the same in the digestive tract, but the pH can definitely vary. We may know that in the stomach, the pH is very low. We have a very high acidity. That means a low pH value. when you go further down into the digestive tract, you have increasing pH values. And as I said, every enzyme has their own pH optimum, meaning that there is some kind of a bell-shaped curve on the pH scale, and on the peak of that bell shape, there is the optimum function of that enzyme. If you go further away from that optimum, you simply have an inactive enzyme. So in order to serve your whole digestive tract with all its different pH values, you need to have a selection of different pH optimums for the enzymes. And that's what we have in Enzygen. If you look at the bottle, if you look at the ingredient list, you're going to find many different enzymes. And all those enzymes have their own specific targets that they digest, but also their own specific pH value. And particularly for the proteases, those are the enzymes that digest protein, you can see that on the bottle we have protease 3.0, protease 4.5, protease 6.0, and that means the selection of protein digestive enzymes with their optimum at pH 3.0 or 4.5 or 6. So we have, enzymes that basically work throughout the whole digestive tract. That is the first selection of enzymes in Enzygen, proteases. I can name some of them, peptidase, bromelain, papain. Those are common and well-known protein digestive enzymes. Second selection of enzymes is lipases. And lipases are enzymes that digest fat. And basically fat present in our food is a triester of glycerol and fatty acids. That may seem a little bit complicated, but basically it's a glycerol molecule with 3 fatty acids attached to it. And lipases simply cut off those fatty acids one by one so that they're smaller molecules and that they can be absorbed into the bloodstream. Different lipases present in Enzygen. And then the third group of enzymes is carbohydrolytic enzymes. The name says it. These are enzymes to digest carbohydrates. Some examples, amylase to digest starch, glycoamylase for a specific type of starch, malt diatase for the malt sugar. We also have invertase. That's actually a very important one because invertase is a carbohydrolytic enzyme that helps with the digestion of processed sugars. And we have a lot of processed sugars in our food these days, and they are not typically very well digested. Now, invertase, present in Enzygen, is going to help you make that digestive process more easy with processed sugars. We also have cellulase. That's a very unique enzyme in this product. Cellulase is not really a normal enzyme that you would find in your digestive tract, but it is a natural enzyme that can digest cellulose. And cellulose normally is, without taking Enzygen, cellulose is indigestible. It's an indigestible fiber, also an insoluble fiber. But if you have a big fibrous food with a lot of, usually they have a big bulking effect in your digestive tract because of the cellulose. And if you have cellulase in Enzygen, as we have, then you are going to be able to cut those cellulose fibers into smaller pieces. And that really helps you with the digestive process. That really reduces the bulking effect that these things may have. Finally, we have 2 antioxidant enzymes in it, superoxide dismutase and an enzyme called catalase. And very important enzymes. These are present of our own body. We make them ourselves. Superoxide dismutase is an enzyme that renders superoxide harmless, and superoxide is a very dangerous free radical. As I said, our own system produces it, but typically the production is not adequate to really make sure there's no damage due to the superoxide. And catalase is a similar enzyme that does not work with superoxide, but works with hydrogen peroxide, another type of dangerous free radical. So, 2 different kind of enzymes that have nothing to do with digestion, but do play a very important role in antioxidant protection. That's just a great bonus. And then finally, we top the product off with some algae, particularly blue-green algae and chlorella. And these 2 algae are there, they have this digestive soothing effect. I mean, a lot of people take algae, particularly blue-green algae, for their digestive benefits. And these are very rich sources of natural sources of many vitamins and minerals and important phytonutrients. So it's nice to have that natural green digestive soothing effect full of vitamins and minerals present in Enzygen, so that you, at the same time while you improve your digestive process, you can have this extra boost in vitamins and minerals. So that's the product. It's simple to explain, but it's a very effective product. People take it consistently because, these days there are many people with digestive disorders, bloating, gas formation, cramping, belching, you name it. There's a lot of discomfort going on, and we hear that a lot, mainly because lifestyle, also because of our way of food production. And Enzygen is simply going to replace the enzymes that we used to have in our foods maybe 50, 100 years ago that were helping us with digestion but are no longer there. And Enzygen, takes care of that boost in enzyme activity in our digestive tract. And that's why it's a great product. Many people take Enzygen also together with BioSlife. It's a very good combination. You may know that if you start with BioSlife and you've never taken BioSlife before, you actually may experience some flatulence. What is this flatulence? Well, flatulence is simply CO2, carbon dioxide, and that is formed by the bacteria that digest, that ferment the fibers in BioSlife. So if you don't have a lot of fiber in your system and you are starting with BioSlife, you suddenly increase the fiber consumption. That means you're going to produce more gas. That's a very normal reaction. And some people find that not very nice. And then Enzygen is a very good product to take along with BioSlife because it's going to help you, particularly because of the cellulase and the other enzymes, to cut the bigger fibers into smaller pieces so that they don't have this big fermentation effect with the bacteria. And that reduces the bloating and gas formation that you may experience the first few days enormously. And that's a great tip, a little additive effect that Enzygen may have when you take it together with BioSlife. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for calling in this week. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're going to have a nice meal followed by a nice capsule of Enzygen Plus. Thank you very much, and I see you and hear you next week. Bye-bye.